Smith, it is lovely having you here.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you because we've known each other for many years.
Yeah, 2012.
2012. Let's talk about how we know each other because I feel like this is a good story to tell that maybe most people don't know.
I actually got nervous there. That never happens. How is this going to come out?
This is why we have the cheers. We're going to cheers. Here we go.
Oh, wait.
This is, double tap. Good. You could do it back to back.
You do doubles?
There you go. I do doubles.
Okay.
Double tap because we tap once for the people who are here. That is Brad and I. And we tap twice for the people that can't be here with us.
I like that.
So how do we know each other, Brad? Tell this story.
Well, first, when I was the Bachelor, you were a producer. And I was doing a media junket. And that's, I think, the first time that I ever, because they sent you to interview me and they sent the on-air talent.
Yes.
But yours was for like social media, I think, at that time.
Yes.
Which was just, you guys had like a big Facebook.
Yes, Facebook Live.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And I was just so
we're aging. That is like
Facebook
how far back
yeah.
when that was a thing.
I came out of the CFL and I didn't even, I'd never been interviewed before because I wasn't a good player. I just sat on the bench. So when they, you shoot the whole show and then you do the media day and the show is unto itself ridiculous, but you come out and it's almost like an ego flare. Like a huge one.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's all about you. It's all about you. All the attention is on you.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'm just not good with compliments and people talking about me in that way. But I think we did like 1,000 interviews in 3 days.
Wow.
And it was, it became so fun by the end because the challenge of like not saying the same thing and like, you've done junkets.
Well, that's not in your position though. I've been on the opposite end of it. So to be in your position, that's also like exhausting and draining to do that many interviews.
No, it was amazing.
You loved it.
Well, because you realize, and you don't love it because you're getting attention. You love it because you'll never be able to do anything like that again.
Well, it's a good mentality.
No one's ever going to give me that type of platform. Like you can go on a reality show, but it's, you're a cast of characters. That one is so specific to like,
it was all about
here's
you.
the whitest white kid in Canada. Let's give him a platform. So, but that's how I met you for the first time. And then obviously, I started working in television on a morning show and we were on competing stations, but I maintained good relationships with all the girls over there. And yeah.
Absolutely. And one of those girls set us up on a date.
You went there.
I went there. We're going hot off the top, Brad.
I was hoping to avoid that. No, I'm kidding. She did. And first of all, she's one of the most lovely people ever.
She's the best.
But I just remember, so we went on our date. I'm going to skip over that for a second and go, I'm going to look straight in the camera on this one. Skip over that for a second because there in itself, 2015 was a very weird year for me. But I just remember getting a call from her like maybe 4 or 5 days later. And she's like, what did you do to the girl? I was like, nothing. I thought we had a good night. I took her out to dinner and I took her to a very expensive restaurant. And, well, also too, because I'd never been there and it's a really good Italian restaurant. And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah, you ghosted her and never called her again. I was like, I didn't know this is when ghosting wasn't even a thing.
It wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, I think
you coined the term ghosting. Let's get this straight. I'm pretty sure you did that.
Yeah, but we have talked about it since.
We have talked about it since. We have been friends for a very long time. And for the record, I want to set it straight. You took me out to a lovely dinner and I felt like it was banter was great. One thing I felt like halfway through the dinner, I was like, something kind of switched and something was like off. I was like, I don't know if he's like, uncomfortable or wants to end it. But then I was confused too because I was like, he offered to walk me to my car. So in my mind, I'm like, I think he wants to kiss me goodnight, or is that like the gentleman thing to do? So we went in for it, but I was like, I don't know how that was. And this feels like, I don't know how to take how this went.
Wow, you're starting off this podcast career hot.
Honesty, this is what this is.
Okay, well,
so we're having this conversation.
I think we've talked about it, but for the generalized public out there. So I think I've told you this, but at that restaurant, the head chef came up to me and
he came to our table, make sure everything was okay.
And, I still wasn't used to being known. I wasn't built to have anybody know who I was, which is awkward when you buddy, you were the Bachelor.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a Canadian show that was going to bomb, to be very honest with you.
Okay.
Because, when they slap Canada on a lot of shows, they don't end up looking that great.
Mm-hmm.
But they put so much money, so much time, and so much funding and backing behind it that I went from nobody knowing me. Full transparency, when I left the CFL, I was bartending at Earl's King Street because I wanted to have the least amount of responsibility after sports for my whole life. And they found me randomly. So you go from literally walking around innocuous in the world where no one knows you to the day we were done shooting, Hello Canada comes out and I'm on the cover and I'm walking through airports and people are like, and I got chills, and not in the good ones, because I remember how awkward it made me feel.
Yeah.
And you know me, like I am inappropriate. I am like not loud and obnoxious, but like I have a big personality because I like to make people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found from that moment on, it started detracting a lot, and unless it was in like closed situations. So when he came up to us at that table that night, well, then everybody started looking at me, and I just kind of went inside a little bit. And
it's so interesting because I literally like felt that change in the dinner, and I was obviously sitting there wondering like, and something in my face, something in my teeth. What did I do?
But it's not something you can like. Then I can't
go
because
to. You don't know me well enough to know and say something like that.
How self-indulgent would it be for me to be like, oh, all these people are looking at me, and it's making me feel like that would come off so douchey. And I just I didn't know how to. I kind of still stayed the same, but in the way that you do, I just went in. I went inside. That sounded terrible. But no, I just internalized everything and tried to be the same, but I couldn't because it was just drawing attention. And it took a long time to get over that. It took till what happens is the infamy wears away, and then you become somebody who you can then now walk back in the world the same way we were before, or if you can even find who that person was.
And so that's so interesting.
I apologize.
Not at all.
On camera, I'm so sorry.
We're good. We're good.
It made me feel bad too, but also because of the person who set me up. Like I would never ever do anything to disrespect her.
No,
not
she's
that
the best.
Not that I disrespected.
I know you didn't at all. You didn't do anything.
But it was a childish move to not understand that at that point there was more than just my feelings and your feelings. It was also the other person setting it up.
It was you're going through stuff. It was just timing is a funny thing. The universe is a fun. But look at it. Like
look
I'm
at
so
us
grateful.
now.
Look at us now. I'm so grateful that did happen and that we are colleagues, friends, and again that you're here.
Well, but you're just the sweetest. So I mean, it's easy to be around you. And like I don't think I put myself in your shoes until we talked about it for the first time. And that's something that I try to do more often now than not, is not have empathy or sympathy, but just put yourself
in somebody
how you
shoes.
saw the world in that one.
Yeah.
And if somebody had like, you have this date, you have a good night kiss, and then next thing you know, you don't get a phone, like that would really hurt my feelings. So I apologize.
You crushed me. I was just broken, Brad.
Asshole. You did it. Oh, you did it.
No,
but it's nice
right.
to get to say
sorry. You don't have to say that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I want to go back to The Bachelor, if I may.
Of course.
Because it seems like, and you've been pretty open with me in talking about how you've gone through a lot of transition and growth, since all of that.
Yeah.
So when you were on the show and all of this happened, like take me back to when you kind of got the call and when all of this snowballed.
It's the weirdest thing ever because people are like, oh yeah, you must be a douche. You applied for The Bachelor. And I didn't even know the show was going on. They had, I think the actual first list was like 1,000 people that they had kind of picked out. And
producers just like look online? Like, is that
people applied, but they also did scout. And then on top of that, you had referrals and stuff. So from what I was told, there was quite a few similar douchebags who wanted to be on the show to date girls for money. Uh-huh. But
what a concept.
Yeah. It's like, this is a job?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But I was in Barbados because my parents vacation there, and I try to go down every year with them just to meet them. And I got a call from, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm the casting director for The Bachelor Canada. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Hung up. True story. And then they called back like, no, this is actually it. And the story is that my best friend, Ryan, was at his girlfriend's house for Easter. That was 26 days before they started shooting the actual show.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like April 3rd or something like that. And they called because her brother was a big time quarterback coming out of college. He was like the first Canadian guy. They're like, what do you think about this guy? The casting director called
him,
the uncle, who was like friends. And they're like, they're all at the table. He's like, oh, guys, what do you think about Danny going on The Bachelor? And my buddy, he's got the greatest sales pitch of all time. It's just who he is as a person. He goes, that guy, no, I got the guy for you. And then just pitched my name out when there was like, I think there was 6 or 7 people left.
Wow.
So they called me. They said, we need you to come back and we need you to send in a film. It's like, send in a film? OnlyFans it hasn't been created yet. What am I supposed to do? So Ryan came down and shot a film. And because I had been a fan of the show, because I love
Okay, so you were following it and watching it.
I'm going to say this right now, and it's going to sewer me, but it's going to be a good clip for you. I would watch the show all the time with my roommate and his girlfriend, now wife. And Kelly one time looked at me and she's like, Brad, what would you do if you were ever the Bachelor? And I was like, Kelly, 3 roses, 2 condoms, 1 ring. We got this solved in a night. Just as a meathead football player joke. Yeah. So, but I had watched the show, so I had in my head,
you knew exactly what to expect.
What to do on the video.
Right.
And so I went down to Lakeshore in Toronto and we did like the B-roll walking scene, like the.
Oh my God, I love it. You like played into it.
And then did a voiceover and then did the like little in the moment interview. And they called, I sent it in. They called me 3 hours later. Wow. They're like, we're having a casting downtown Toronto. We need you to drive in now. Drove in, sat down in like a room like this, but with 20 producers around, wearing this gray Henley shirt and these baggy jeans. I'll never forget.
I love that you remember that.
Because the casting director always told me, you came in these terrible frumpy jeans. We couldn't even tell that you had a nice body. Sweated through everything, but I knew the questions and how to answer them.
Yeah.
And that might sound disingenuous to people, but you know, growing up and your dad being semi-famous in Quebec and Canada, like I saw how PR worked in the moment to have people, and this was a job. As much as it is you, it's like, okay, I want this. This is how I'm going to get it.
Smart.
So that's how they found me. Total
One would
serendipity.
say very smart.
If he's not at dinner, I don't get the job.
Just for people who are listening or watching, who is your dad? So people, you can explain.
My dad, well, his name's Larry Smith. He's a very nice guy. He's the sweetest man. He's currently a sitting senator. This is just going to be so much nepotism. He's a sitting senator.
You're calling it out. So.
He was the commissioner of the CFL, but he also, his claim to fame in Quebec, because he's very famous in Quebec, was that he brought the Alouettes back from the dead in 1997 to become like the most winning franchise till he left in 2011. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So you knew how to approach the show. You knew who to be. You knew what to turn on, how to go about it. So let me ask you, you know, being on it as opposed to watching it, how did that differ, change? Did feelings kind of set in? Was it real? Because at the end of the day, you did choose someone.
Yeah. This is going to be controversial. It's not real. They put you in real situations, but all the situations are predisposed. Everything that happens once you're in that situation is real. But even something like this, like producers will always give you the answer to the question. You just don't have to ask. You just have to listen about how they talk. So I knew where the girls were staying. I knew which hotel rooms they were in, and I would call them up the night before, and we would go over the conversations that we're going to have going in, because they were all nervous because they're cooped up in this mansion. They don't get to see me, and people don't realize they're in there for 7 days sometimes without seeing me. And so they would get on camera and they would be like,
yeah.
And so I would call them up and not word for word, but be like, okay, we can talk about this. We can talk about this, and at least get the conversation started, because you don't see someone like me for 7 days. I'm dating every day, Nick.
Yeah, it's a full-time gig. It's a lot of
72 days
work.
Straight. But you know, I didn't want the girls to freeze up. I wanted them to have a good moment. I wanted them to come off like themselves.
Yeah.
And most of them really, I was going to say loved me, but most of them really appreciated that I did that for them, because once you got the ball started, then it's, let's have fun. Who cares?
Yeah.
And I told them, I was like, if that producer yells out, talk about your parents, like, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Like, let's just have fun. We're going to be here for 3 hours. They can cut around it.
Yeah.
And the producers hated me for that, but
for sure, because you're giving them way more work.
Well, they thought they were getting
way more footage that they're shooting. So
they thought they were getting some dumb meatheaded football player.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize I sort of had a sense of understanding of
how things work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you were kind of going through all of that and you came towards the end, like, were you there? So obviously, like, there are things that people don't see based on like these conversations that you had
So
off
much.
camera and the time that
I
you
had dates
spent.
off camera.
Because people
Full
think
dates.
like, how the F are you falling in love in this short amount of time?
For me personally, I think we fell in lust.
Okay.
I don't know if love would be the term. I ended up loving her, and she was a great person, and we dated for 18 months. I think she'll say the exact opposite. But it's hard when you date the guy and you're the character. That's the toughest part about the whole thing. And I said to them, like, on night one, like, I don't care how many people you put in there, as long as you put two in there that you can that there can be a directional point, a purpose.
Did you know it was Bianca right away?
Yeah, I knew the last two girls on the first night.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I shouldn't say that, but
No, that's okay.
no, I should say that because that's true.
And so you knew right away,
Yeah.
but then it's a game of like kind of who you send home and who you keep.
Well, that's the problem, and no one will ever say this, but I'm going to look into the camera to say this. To be the Bachelor, you have to be 50% an actor and 50% a good guy.
Wow.
You have to, because you are in situations generally sometimes that you do not want to be in.
Yeah.
And I got lucky because even the people that I didn't have a connection with, and let's be honest, they didn't have a connection with me.
Right.
I'm not
you can
everybody's,
see it. You can
I'm
also
not
see
everybody's
it.
cup
Yeah.
of tea. Also, too, you could put a parking cone and these girls would come on for TV time, some of them.
Yes.
Me as well. But you have to be able, like, you know, when you get into a seaplane and you spend 14 hours on a beach, and I was with a girl who was the loveliest girl, the nicest girl. We didn't have any connection, but we were able to have fun for 14 hours.
That's nice.
And again, you have to play into the fact that this is a job. Like, you're getting paid for this, and your job is to facilitate the show to the end.
Dude, contestants get paid as well?
No.
So they have to drop everything, but you get paid.
But we would have dates where they would have gifts, and I always picked the person, not that I like the most, but who deserved the gift the most.
Oh.
But these were like Roberto Cavalli dresses and Tacori necklaces. Like, one girl walked away with like 15 grand of stuff.
That's pretty good.
And she deserved it because she was one of probably, I'd say she was my favorite human being on that show.
Yeah.
As far as a person, she was just one of the most lovely people. And I did her so dirty.
Oh, Brad. So do you speak to her and maybe any of the other girls today? Like, what is your relationship like with them now?
Well, let me tell you how I did.
So many years later.
Did this dirty, okay? I just didn't want her to go to the Final Four because she was too sweet. She was too nice.
You didn't want to genuinely like break her heart.
I did not want to meet her family. I can, you know, I'm great with families, but I didn't want her to keep investing because she really, really liked me. And I really liked her, but it just wasn't, it was ships crossing in the night.
Yeah.
And so the worst part about this was we went to Paris on a 2-on-1 date. Everybody knows that only one person.
Oh, it's the worst. That's the worst.
No, here's
date.
the worst part is that we shot on P9, like the bridge, and these girls are in Cavalli dresses, and
oh my god, the boat turned around.
No, I'm on the bridge standing there in this what's supposed to be Parisian pastel jacket. Pastel blue jacket with a baby pink shirt. I look like a fashion nightmare gone wrong. And my only excuse is that I'm Quebecois. And so I'm holding the rose. Everyone sees it. And as soon as they see a rose, hey, le Bachelorist, like all the French people start screaming out. Then they have the girls walk from either side of the bridge on a long shot. We're not talking about 20 feet, like a good 500 feet walking in. They settle. I settle. I give my speech to one girl. You're so-and-so. I had such a good time.
Oh, God.
You're so-and-so. I had such a good time. Boom. And then what you do, which is what they don't tell you, is when it feels awkward, wait longer.
Oh, no. So you just have to stand there waiting?
I was good at it, too.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So I'm like this.
Like you're thinking about it, but you're not.
And then I go to not the girl. It was to Bianca at the time. I said, Bianca, will you accept this rose? And then not only that, they walk her to the carriage. Okay, I walk Bianca to this horse-drawn carriage that we're going to take around the Eiffel Tower.
Oh my God, she has to watch it.
While Laura's just sitting there. I can say her name because she's a beauty person. Laura's just sitting there. and they start moving the carriage. And I go, whoa, wait, we're stopping right now. And then they go, no, we're going to continue the scene. And I literally almost jumped out of the carriage, and because I wasn't going to let her go without saying goodbye to her.
Oh,
and don't. It's like, yeah, you're doing that after I put these people through that?
That's terrible.
So I made sure.
That's really nice.
And she always, even when I talked to her, I think it was like 2 or 3 years after, she was like, that always meant a lot to me that you did that. And well, I was like, yeah, you were like one of my favorite people.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
I had the most fun with her on dates. She was just like, it was just a tremendous girl, but we were both like in very different parts of our life.
And now you're on good terms with your friends?
We're not like, I don't keep in touch as friends with any of them because it is very awkward.
If you did see her across the street, you'd be like, hey, how's it going?
Of course. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I mean, probably the top 2 wouldn't look my way, but it's very hard.
Okay, so you went there, so now I don't feel bad going there. So like, what happened? Like post show, I think people also assume like you're in the honeymoon phase, like you have all this press you have to do together. Yeah. You're in this like, you know, you're traveling the world and doing really cool things and getting invited everywhere.
Appearances and...
Right. And you actually can be like openly together, which is like an exciting thing, or should be anyway.
Well, we snuck around, like we had 6 months in between when we stopped, and we snuck around all the time. We really did at the beginning like being around each other. She was a sweetheart. She was nurturing, she was caretaking, she's classically Eastern European, where it's like she got the mom's qualities of, I'm going to take care of this person. It was new for me. I'd never been in a relationship like that. Then like to the point where I moved into their house with them, because that's the European thing.
That's not abnormal for me.
It's like, abnormal for, but then
that's the norm.
But then it's really hard, right? Because you're the guy and you're getting asked to do all this stuff, and the other person's not getting asked on the same thing. But for me, I always made sure that the appearances, for the most part, were together. But I think it just came down to when the show stopped and everyone stops cheering, and then you're really sitting down there and talking. We really did have a great connection, but I just think that there's all those things that you don't talk about.
Like what? Like for anybody?
Like the foresight you have of like, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is the life I want to live. Like I wanted to have my own apartment. I wanted to be downtown because I was driving into work an hour and a half a day and driving back an hour and a half a day for a morning show. So I was leaving at like 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
And also too, like during that point in my life, like I, had a lot of bad stuff happen to me when I was in my childhood and my early teens and my 20s. And I didn't really like understand, because mental health wasn't a thing back then, that I didn't, I had no real self-awareness. So I was easy to draw people away when I would get introverted, which is hard for people because I'm not introverted at all. They expect me to be like,
yeah.
So that will be a terrible cut. But so it just, But then we broke up, but then we actually got back together for another 9 months. And I don't know whether that was, I actually never really thought about it, to be honest. Since we liked being around each other, and we had a really good connection. It's just I don't think that process was fair to either one of us. Less fair to her, very less fair to her.
So how did things like end finally?
To be honest with you, I had to do my breakup live on TV.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
What do you mean you did it live on TV?
It's something I'm still pissed off about to this day.
How did you do it live on TV?
Because I was working for this morning show, and the morning show was owned by the company that produced the show, and they didn't want it to be gossip. And I was like, gossip, it's me. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit, Brad. No one cares about you. And
that was very good, by the way.
My Trump is pretty good. Nicole, I'm coming after you. I'm on Mismatch today. It's great. So they said, we got to do it on live TV. And I said, I'm not going to be able to speak. And they're like, why? I'm like, because if I speak about this, I will start bawling my eyes out. Oh. And so my co-host, God love her, she took the bullet for me on that one and said it, but I had to sit next to her, and I sat next to her and was bawling to like not only because I was sad about the relationship, but more so too because of the ego shock of having to do this and understanding that it was very wrong for it to be done that way.
Well, yeah, I think it's something that was so public and then became so personal and intimate, and then for it to be so public all over again. Yeah. That's like really hard.
Yeah. I mean, again, harder on her because
Did she get backlash from it, or did you get backlash?
I didn't get backlash, and that's the problem. I think the biggest problem in the post breakup was that it always seems like I get the last word because I was the Bachelor. And I really didn't want that to be the narrative. But, even when I got my next job on Food Network, we did a cross Canada tour and none of the questions were about the food show. It was all like, what happened? What happened? And I wrote her a text after that, basically saying, like, I'm so sorry that it seems like I get the last word. Like, I hope there's like you're doing the best. And although that message seems selfish and self serving, uh, like it was hard for me to go and like know that, oh, like they don't give a shit
Like
about.
people are hearing only your side
Yeah.
and not her
Yeah,
side
yeah.
of everything.
And she didn't have a big enough platform at that time to have her say, and I felt really awful about that. And she probably thinks I'm acting saying this, but like I genuinely it hurt me for a long time that you're the Bachelor, you get to say this, and then they're just contestants. Where it was like, no, man, like we went through this whole thing together,
Yeah.
and the show wouldn't have been as good had it not been for her.
Yeah.
She was the exact kind of heroine that you needed to have on that show because she had all these qualities that none of the other girls did. And not in bad ways for the other girls, but
Well, and you genuinely fell for her. Like I know you're saying it like in like terms of like production and like a casting
oh
way.
no, yeah,
But also
100%.
like you can see when love is real, like on TV,
Until it was,
until it wasn't.
until it wasn't. It was. I mean, we traveled. We had she laughed. Like she was a great audience. She laughed at everything I said, and sometimes she didn't want to, but yeah, there's nothing about the in like the in the parameters of a relationship that there's things I would change, but there's nothing in hindsight that I could change. But it wasn't like a damaging situation for me personally. But when you end a relationship, it's you become two separate people going in two separate directions, and that's I think the hard thing for a lot of people.
For sure, that's the hardest thing, and it's like relearning all the routines that you just created, like all over again for yourself.
And I think I'll go out on a limb here. Like when you end a relationship, that person ceases to grow from that. Like you'll look back even 5-6 years later, but you'll remember that, and you don't think about the possibility of them having any change in their life moving forward. So that's kind of like the hardest part of it, which is can this person evolve? Can this person change? Because so many people are, oh, nobody can change. It's like, yeah, you can. You just have to put the freaking effort in.
I literally just said that. So in the first episode that I shot by myself, one of the things I said is that the worst piece of advice someone has given me is that people don't change.
They do.
And I completely disagree. I think people do change, but they themselves have to like want to change and put the effort in. Yeah, you're a very different person.
Night and day.
And I this is a compliment. Like you were lovely then.
You
but
were
you're
great
lovely
back then, but now you're shit. Welcome to
true.
Mismatched.
It's true. I think you just have like a different like self-awareness and understanding of yourself. And like you said, I think maybe some of the things in your childhood that you were able to unpack, like, I don't know if you want to go there. I'm not going to make you go there if you don't want to.
No, I had, like, well, let me preface it with that. You're completely right. Like my self-awareness comes from my ADHD. Like from the second my eyes open to the second they close, like I'm thinking. The problem is that for so many years I was like repressing the questions that were being asked and just moving forward. And then once you start tackling the hard questions, well, then you're going to get the answers that you need. They might suck to hurt. They might suck emotionally to feel that way. I come from a family where it's like when you ask for emotional advice, they give you advice. They don't understand where the emotion is coming from. Greatest parents ever. Yeah. Showed up but like I'm wired differently than they are. I'm a suck. And so it took me a while to understand, like, you have to get through the moments of feeling that uncomfortability and just not avoid the uncomfortability through whatever you're doing to avoid it. Like, thankfully I didn't go down deep rabbit holes, but I had a friend who I lost in second year university. He was my best friend and he took his own life. And
I'm sorry.
No, listen, it's I'm getting chills now because it's happy chills, because it took me a long, long time. And one of my ex-girlfriends, in order to say one word, because she knew me so well, to take away all the weight that I had left on on myself, because it was a really screwed up situation how it happened. And then I had an ex-friend pass away about 18 months after that, who I had known since we were like a year old. He was my first real friend. And, you know, what did I do as Brad Smith? Because I gave both eulogies.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, there's a bingo card that you don't want to have. But
No.
what did I do? I saw everybody in the, you know, the pews being very emotional. And I'm like, fuck this speech. I'm going to do a tight 10 minutes of stand up and make everyone laugh.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And like, you know, but that's repressing my pain and not getting that out. But
trying to help everybody else instead of acknowledging how you were actually really having a hard time dealing with it.
Right. And by not grieving that over the time that I didn't grieve it, it just compounded and compounded and compounded. But I didn't know that that was the reason why until one of my exes said one sentence, and it like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, okay.
Wow.
All the self-image, all the stuff, my career and how it's gone, why I am this person, those are benefits of the not taking care of the damage. But also too, once you take care of it, then you realize, oh, you could have been this person the whole time.
But that's really reflective. Like, but also you wouldn't be where you are had you not gone through all the things, you know? So there's like, it's catch-22.
Right. But
having that learning from that.
But the casualties of persons along the way, not friends, but the relationships, that was really the thing, because those moments created this kind of abandonment detachment situation where it was like the closer that you get to that, the more that you start pulling away from it.
And you were pulling away from it.
Not pulling away, more so just maybe a little bit of self-sabotage, but not in like hurtful, like I wouldn't say. Some people were hurt by it, but like I wasn't a cheater. I wasn't, like, you know, I did stupid stuff when I was a kid, but as an adult in my relationships, I wasn't like a cheater. I just would not have enough foresight. I was so living present and stuck in the past versus being present, looking forward. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, I've never said that in public before, but
wow, thanks for sharing that.
You have to sometimes, because people don't realize like
yeah, I just think people don't have like the full picture of who you are. And that's honestly why I wanted to even sit down with you like this, is because people only see certain facets of people on TV, right? You don't get to actually get to know them through and through of who they are.
And I don't want anyone to feel like bad for me. Like
no, it's not about that. It's just about understanding who you are.
These people in my life who are no longer here, they were gifts. Like every day that I got to spend with them, it was gifts. Now, sometimes you say that out loud, but you don't feel it internally. But now I've come to a place where I feel that internally versus just saying it out loud. And I don't think enough people understand that like everybody, regardless of your situation, has their own damage.
For sure.
But most people just don't attack it. And most people just feel comfortable in the uncomfortability, me being one of the biggest people. And the second I started taking care of that, which is only over the last 18 months, like it took, you know, I was too stubborn to do it.
Wow.
It really puts a different perspective on how you want to move forward. And like, not only that, but not the person you want to be to everybody else. Because regardless of the 5 people who are going to watch this who are like, that guy, I'm lucky to have long-lasting friendships with good people who have always instilled that I'm a good person, even if objectively I didn't feel it at times.
Yeah.
And then when you start feeling that, well, then you can kind of move forward and be like, okay, like I don't, like, you know me, I can hate compliments. I don't take things well.
You can't take it.
I like criticism more than I do compliments. But now you're having to understand, like, okay, I don't need anybody else to do it. I need to be the one doing it for me.
I was just going to say that. Like, I think what you're going to realize, and maybe you already have started realizing it, is because you have looked inward after all of this and reflected on and working on yourself and where you need to get. I mean, the law of attraction is a real thing of like, I think you're going to attract a whole other type of, whether it be like friends or romantic relationship.
I ain't thinking about that.
Someone in your life though, that like never would have happened had you not put that work in to yourself.
It's always been easier to be the guy who makes everybody laugh rather than the person who makes anyone think, right? And I think a lot of people don't understand, like they would see me from the outside as someone without any depth. Yet I've always had depth. It's just that's not what the character was that I was playing on TV. And like I've said to you, when you start doing the character and using that voice and you start falling into that character as a natural.
And then you lose yourself. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Is that why, Brad, I'm just going to assume and throw that there, like you haven't stayed with the Bachelor franchise? Because so many people use that again, like as like a lifting point to like catapult their career into whatever kind of you want it to be. But like, and like, have you gotten offered to be on other shows or like other like franchises even that are a part of it because you are
right
single?
After the show? Yes. But no, not since.
Not since.
No.
So would you then if you got asked? No, you would say hard no.
41 years old on a dating show? What am I going to go on the beach and have to cut weight and like look?
You look great.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors, honey. but you're not that. If you listen, if they offered you and you saw the number, you'd be like, okay, I'll think about it. But in actuality, like going there and jumping back into that franchise, it's a regression for who I am as a person now. Back then, maybe I should have taken it, but I just didn't see the value in doing it because I'd already gotten the job that I wanted after, and just by luck. But
it wasn't by luck because you're great at what you do, and they saw that in you. So then they just gave you.
Yeah, everyone hated me though,
and people were. I'm not gonna bullshit you. People were like spiteful. It was like, how the hell does this guy get this job?
Yeah.
I've worked so many years in this industry and I can't get that job. And this guy rolls off of a reality TV show and lands the job. And I'm not going to lie to you. It pisses me off watching it happen with so many other people. I'm like, I went to school for this.
Know. The newsroom hated
But you were really great.
me.
But you were really great.
I had to audition for it though.
Did you?
They didn't just give it to me. Like I had to go in and do like, I think it was like 2 solid weeks of like prep and audition and prompter and everything. Because I remember the first time I was on TV and I read a prompter, it looked like I'd never read before. It looked like
eyeballs are crossed.
It looked like the entire Canadian scholastic industry had failed me because I was like, "Hey everybody, welcome to the breakfast house, and over to you." It was bad.
It's hard.
But everyone,
it's hard.
They hated me. But 2 weeks after that, everyone's like, "Brad," like,
yeah, because you're lovely.
Well, they just
and you probably worked hard at it.
I worked.
Am I wrong in saying that?
720 of 750 days.
There you go. Yeah. That's a lot. It's a lot of work. People don't realize that either.
It was crazy, but.
And then you went. Okay, let's transition from love to the love of food.
Yeah.
Also, like in your TV career, had like evolved as well. How did that even come to play? Like, are you a foodie? Like,
yes.
Like, how did that happen?
Foodie is a weird thing. I think foodie is more of people who eat food. Like
Do you not eat food?
I love food. But in 2008, CFL, the first year that I could afford to not work during the off season, because CFL means cash flow low league, you don't get paid.
Oh, wow. Never heard that before.
That's what all the boys call it. But I didn't know how to cook, so I just turned on Food Network. It was Chef at Home with Michael Smith. And he was like, we're going to take some parcinnamon and put it into this casserole. And I just learned how to cook, and then cooking became a huge thing ever before.
Love that.
But in the serendipity that is my life sometimes, because I put myself out there so much, our lead host on the morning show was sick. And they're like, hey, Smitty, they called me the kid. They're like, hey, kid, get in there and do the food segment.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you're not supposed to eat while they're cooking. I'm like, we have this.
You're just shoving all the things.
We have this
mouth.
Amazing chef here, and he's making burgers on the patio, and I'm just crushing the burgers. I can't read the prompter. The casting director for Chop Canada saw that clip because he was a fan of BT, and they invited me into audition.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I just did what I did for The Bachelor. I was a fan of Chopped, so I went in and did what Ted Allen does, but like me. So like we did a screen test, and right after the screen test, like I knew that I got it. I knew it.
That's
just by seeing, because I went in and they're like, oh, chicken, that's a great ingredient, right, John? Like chicken is such a, it's a clean slate. You can do anything with you. It absorbs flavors. You can put anything with it. And John's like, God damn, Brad. Yes, you can. And he's like, oh God, you know your food, don't you? I was like, thanks, John. Oh God, this guy, look at him.
That's pretty cool though. That's cool for you, because watching these people, it also feels like a bit of a celebrity moment. Like, wow, like I know what I'm doing. I
got to become friends with Mark McEwen.
He's such a nice
man.
Hey,
Smitty. Well,
yeah.
I opened a restaurant. My burger got best burger in Toronto. Okay, and number 2 was by Mark.
Wow.
and he
come knocking at your door.
He called me up. He's like, hey, Smitty, I had one thing. Okay, you took it from me. What the hell, buddy? He's honestly one of my favorite humans that exists.
I love that.
A misunderstood guy, because he's like, it's Mark McEwen on TV, but the nicest human. Him, Susser, another guy.
Yeah.
Funniest guy ever. I was trying to get him to do TikToks before. I'm like, why don't you let this guy be funny? He's like, no, he's the stern one.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's literally, he's one of the funniest guys ever.
That's so funny. See these personas that are like created on TV.
And then Lynn Crawford is Lynn Crawford, the biggest beauty of all time.
Yeah, she really is.
She made me put on 20 pounds the first season because every time she ate, she's like, Brad. And
I was going to ask you too, because being on a food show, I always think to myself, like, how does everyone stay trim? Like, I don't understand.
Throwing up after a lot of meals.
Stop it.
Yeah. It's the 2-finger discount. It gets you right back.
Stop it right now. That is not what you do.
Inappropriate. I had to. No, my first year, we shot 38 shows back to back to back to back.
Oh my gosh.
And it was crazy. And I remember 3 weeks left, so you have maybe 12 shows left. They had to start taping my shirt where the buttons were.
Because it was so tight that they were like busting open a little bit.
Our stylist was so nice. Lisa would come up to me. She's like, well, we can let the shirt
Williams?
out. Yeah.
Oh,
we can let the shirt out a little bit, love. It'll be okay. And I'm like, no, I have tits. I have titties. And
you did gain weight.
185 to 206.
Wow.
In 2 months.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 42 regular to 44 bloated. It was an interesting.
Yeah, but at least you enjoyed yourself.
No, the food was fucking terrible.
No.
So bad.
Was it?
If you cook well on Chopped, you are a magician.
Really?
Oh yeah. There's very few good plates, and they all come cold.
I imagine that. That's what I imagine most people you're sampling cold food.
Now, Big Bake, it's
different.
Good. It's good cake.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not a cake guy, so I think I tried 2 cakes in 6 years.
Really?
Yep.
See, I'm not a cake person either, so I would do well on that show. I feel like I wouldn't gain a bunch of weight.
Now, cupcakes.
Different.
But the worst part is when you're on a food show, craft services, so good.
Yeah.
Like it's not like other.
It's not like other shows.
No, you're not getting like a muffin and some crudité.
That's what I'm used to.
Oh, so good.
Oh,
so you're eating on set, then you're coming off and you're eating, and then you're eating.
It's a lot.
I'm not going to complain.
That's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
You also mentioned restaurants. So tell me about like this like stream of like entrepreneurship as
well. Yeah. It died with COVID.
Wee.
Literally. No, I've always been somebody who didn't want to work a 9 to 5. I've escaped it till 41. And when I came off of Food Network, I knew that food was going to leave me at some point, like TV was going to leave me. And my dad kind of always taught me to put your foot in the next door while the other door's still open, so that you're not stuck in the in-between. And I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why I did it. But I took my own money and built one.
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was, again, we had Best Burger 2 years in a row in Toronto. And it was just a great experience. And then I built the second one. And then I was going to sign 2 more on March 20th.
Of
2020. And thank God I didn't, because I'd be in Guam right now.
Yeah.
I'd be in
Run away.
Yeah.
Not allowed back in this country.
Please don't tell the CRA to.
And about 6 months in, the girl I was dating at the time, very smart, very business oriented, helped me out quite a bit with understanding like what I could and couldn't do and where my finances were at, because that thing was a beautiful process. To go from your investment and to make that back is A, a win, but B, then COVID hits, and then I don't think
that takes a lot of time to make your money. But even like from what you
invest,
it takes
it was crazy.
That's killer fast. For a lot of businesses, it takes years.
Yeah.
Especially in the restaurant business, it is so tough.
But I hired great people to run it, and then my thing was the branding. How do you get the messaging out there? Because did we have the best burger in Toronto? Probably not. But I knew how to sell it as.
Yeah.
Did we have the best gnocchi in Toronto? No, but it had been rated just below Buca's. So I sold burgers. And people were like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm selling burgers and pasta.
Yeah.
Like, how does that make sense? I was like,
I'm making it
how
make
doesn't
sense.
It?
Yeah.
But once COVID hit, and then boom, there's your bill, April 20th. You've been closed down, no revenue.
Yeah.
And so for about 6 months, I floated the idea of doing it. And then I just said, listen, I got to pull the trigger, because even if I get through this, the debt, I'm never going to be able to pay it back with what's on the other side.
Recover from that.
So I sold them. I basically broke even. And
well, that's lucky. Breaking even is lucky.
Lucky.
But a lot of people lost everything. It was a hard fight. It was more so because
I didn't care about the restaurant. I didn't care about the second one. I cared about, my chef Chris and the people that worked there every day. Like by the end, I had like 18 employees full time, and their lives were supported by me, and that was a point of pride for me. And it was the first time I'd ever done something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And people are like, "Oh, you must feel weird." Like, no, like signing somebody's check, signing somebody's visa permit so that they can work in Canada. Like, I did that 3 or 4 times. Like that was like a gift that you can like, welcome to the country. Like, let's work hard, and they're great people.
Yeah.
And then they don't have that, but the one person who was my backbone in that, I took care of him throughout COVID, and I made that a promise to him because I wasn't going to let him suffer for what was going on. So, and he's one of my closest friends to the day.
That's really
nice.
He's
a good guy.
That's really nice. So what's Brad Smith up to now?
Gosh, what aren't I? No, it's been great. I mean, I did finish the last season of Big Bake, and when it sold to Rogers Food Network, they're like, it's not canceled, but it's not. I was about to go Trump there. It's not canceled, but it's not going on. So
good.
It was a good point for me to try to reorganize where I was.
Yeah.
I'd ended a long relationship, or we both decided to end a long relationship, and it was the first time in my adult life that I'd been really alone. And it's been like a year now, and because I had gone from small break relationship, because I'm like a serial monogamous.
Ditto.
Yeah. And I don't know whether that was because I was fearing being alone, or whether I was just okay with always deflecting onto my emotions or focus onto somebody else. But this last year has taught me more about anything. And it taught me a lot of what I did wrong, did right, and what I haven't accepted that I did right, and haven't accepted what I did wrong. But in that, I've gotten a lot of great opportunities. I told you I started doing talk radio, which I never thought I would ever do. What'd you say to me?
You're great at?
No. I wasn't asking you were like, I don't know if I could sit and talk that long.
Yeah, that's what I said about I said, I don't think, like, me talking by myself, I really struggle with it. So the fact that you are able to do that for, what is it, like 2 hours?
3, yeah.
3 hours. That's like
politics too.
My hat is
Nobody
off to you.
had that on their bingo card. My first show, I was like,
no, that's what I'm saying. People don't know what you're capable of.
But I didn't let them know, right?
Yeah.
My last ex will tell you that I was looking at the world from the world back at me and not out at the world. That was the ego that I had created from The Bachelor. That so many people were putting, tags and connotations and labels on you, and I was accepting them. Because how many times I've been out and people are like, "Oh my God, you're so funny. Why aren't you like this on TV?" And you're like,
"Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks. I'm gonna go cry in the corner. I'll just go fuck myself." Yeah, no. So it really changed when I started focusing on like getting rid of the old past baggage that I had, but more so one sentence that was said to me, which was, "Don't be TV Brad. Just be Brad," because I don't like this voice. I don't know why. Because I've gotten used to talking like this, like that's, and because you even see the disposition changes. Totally. Like that character became comfortable.
It's like you can turn it on, but this is the real version I think everybody loves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people not so much. Yeah. But no, even that, and I'm lucky that I've been afforded a great life with the jobs that I've had, and I've been smart about it. So it's been really like a discovery. It's been a real discovery phase for the last little bit. But I mean that in the best way.
You mean it genuinely, I know.
Best way possible. Getting closure on things and realizing how important that is, not just in relationships, with friendships and family, and speaking your mind, and not, I hate this word, but speaking your truth.
Yeah.
But I hate when people say that, because they're like, there is no truth. There's more true than less, or less. Sorry. You're trying to be more true than less true.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, okay, this is how I want to be received for me as a person. These are the friends that I want around me, because they understand that. But also too, like, being in a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week relationship, very few people get to see the full version of you, except for people like that.
Yeah.
And that was a very eye-opening experience for me, to be that kind of vulnerable in a relationship. And I've had it, 2 or 3 times. But your friends never get to see that. Your family never gets to see that. Like, you are your best version of yourself to those people. And when I got out of this last one and was just kind of sitting there for a while, I was like, okay, like, what's important to me? Like, I don't think I'd ever ask myself that, because it was always, okay, this is the next job. This is the career. You've been lucky enough to be able to kind of non-linearly move through life. Like, if you look at my resume, it reads ADD. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, oh, you did a tech startup? Yeah, how'd it work out? Not great, but tried it. Like, I just like swinging for the fences at anything that I do.
I love that. I think that takes balls to do that.
Or stupidity.
A lot of people will but a lot of people will think things up and say, oh, I'd love to do this, or one day I'll do that, and they don't actually do it. At least you can say that you've tried.
Yeah, but
that's huge.
I will say the one thing that I realized over the last year was that I completely lost what made me so successful earlier, which was competitiveness. Because I don't compete against anybody else.
But yourself.
I never want to
I'm like that too.
I never want to serve a hot piece of shit on a plate. Like, I am always trying every week to get, like, with this radio gig, I was like, listen to the guy who was testing me out. I said, my first week will be pretty terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. But I promise you, every single week, like, I'm going to come in and get markedly better. And he's like, well, don't force that on you. I was like, no, I have to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have that, when I left football and I wasn't competing every day, making sure that I get a paycheck against guys who were better than me, when I slowly lost that on TV because everyone goes, you're good, we don't need a second take. It's like, no, tell me what's wrong. I want to do it better.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, Brad, it's great. I'm like, no, it's not great. How can you,
Yeah.
When I lost that, I realized, I was like, oh shit, that was the big problem. Like, you need to compete. And it took me being alone to realize, okay, well, now you're only competing for yourself. You don't have to focus on anybody else. And like, I mean this, like, I don't know if you saw me, but like, when I was single, I called my ex and I was like, why did you let me get this size? I was overweight. I was I just was like a shell of myself.
You kind of lost yourself.
And I put my head down, 90 days, lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
It was all in my goont. It was right there. Because no one would know, because I never carried it in my face. Lost the weight, then worked on my mental health. And then now it just feels like you said, it feels like now that you're doing these things, you're actually aligning with wherever the energy's going in your life versus sitting in and waiting.
Yeah. I love that.
And yeah, I was almost emotional there. I'm just kind of excited now moving forward, because it just feels like this is the right path to be on. And I'm getting that, like, not the fire, but like I want to go out and fucking kill the world.
Yeah,
like,
the mojo is back.
Yeah, the mojo.
Yeah, the mojo.
I lost it, but now it's back. I've got it. I can't do an Austin Powers.
No, that was good. I believed it. That was
She's
great.
a man,
but
man.
It's true. I know that's a terrible, like, old lady thing to say, but it's true. You like feel you've got your groove back. You feel like you're yourself, and that's really hard to get back sometimes when you haven't seen it in so long too, right? So are you still? I know you're working on you, but are you hopeful? Looking for love? Is that something that you still want? Is that something that you're like turned off by at this point, or like? Well, like, because
that's a good question.
When you like wash your hands, you're like, I always say that, like, after my last breakup anyway, before I met my new boyfriend. I was like, I am done. I was like, I'm done with love. I'm going to be alone forever with dogs instead of cats. And that's it. And I've accepted that. But like, I was able to open up in a way that I didn't think that I was.
You can bleep that out though.
Again, so.
Yeah, I was like, this. I'm done. Oh, get them. No.
It's true.
That's a really loaded question. And I think the best answer is I'm always up for meeting people. I don't think intentionally right now. I'm not saying I'm not in a good spot to move forward. I'm not in a bad spot. I think I don't want to put pressure on what the end goal is.
That's what I was gonna. So my follow-up question was, do you want to get married and have kids?
Yeah,
like, is that something that you want?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I've always,
that being the end goal.
I've gone through periods where the answer has changed, but it always comes back to, like, I'm Uncle Brad to 15 different families.
Yeah, that's
what I mean. Like, I've always loved kids. And in the proper way. That sounded gross. I've always loved being around kids because they uniquely see the immaturity that I can bring, and they see
themselves in you.
One of their own. They see an equal. But I've, like my friend out in Calgary, I got to spend 2 weeks with him, and I got to spend a week with his kids, and they call me during the week, and like that. I've always been attracted to the idea of wanting to have that. I just don't know if I was ever in a position to have the foresight to start planning that out.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that now, like, I'm open to meeting whomever. I just don't want to force the meeting as much as like dating apps and all that stuff.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, how do you meet someone now? Like, how do you know?
How does one meet someone organically?
I know.
Like,
I was set up with my boyfriend. That's why I dated again
like,
after the previous.
Was it a blind date? Or?
It was, no, I don't do blind dates. No.
Not since 2015.
I
wasn't blind. I'd seen you before.
Wasn't blind.
How long you been dating for?
This is like a year and a half.
Oh, good for you.
So,
oh yeah, you're in the thick of it.
I'm in the thick of it.
That's good.
It's great. I'm happy. So we'll hold on to that.
You're like, yeah, like, don't ask me questions.
Yeah, I love how you just like turn this around on me. But turning it around me, I actually want to share something with you because also a funny story that we lived in the same building at one time. That's how this reconnection happened.
I saw you in the garage, I was like, oh.
Is that what you thought when you saw me?
That was the first time I saw you.
Because we hadn't seen each other in years. Like, I see you online and whatnot, or like at a party here and there, but I had never like physically like really crossed paths with you in a very long time.
I'm trying to think about the last time, yeah.
But it's funny because that
was funny.
It's funny that was your reaction because I actually had that reaction before we met. Because I knew you lived in my building before you saw me.
Because Nikita.
No, because I had like moved into the building.
Loser lives down there.
No, not even. I was sitting in my car, and this was like me rebuilding my life, like coming out of my previous relationship. My ex and I lived together. We had a house together, and so it was like a whole thing. And then I bought a condo downtown by myself, and it was like, rebuilding myself again.
The comeback.
And I had a really hard day though. So I was sitting in my car in the underground parking lot, and I was crying my eyes out. I was feeling like very overwhelmed and confused and a bit lost. And I was just sitting, listening to Taylor Swift as one does, bawling my eyes out in my car, thinking I'm safe in this parking lot. And who do I see walk right in front of my car to the garbage chute that my car is like parked in front of, like the door where you have to like bring your garbage down? Brad Smith. And I literally like saw you walk, and
Dear Lord, what are you doing to me?
I sunk so far in my driver's seat.
Stop it. I didn't know this.
I was quickly like, don't cry. Like, what if he sees you? Like, turn the music down. Like, this is so embarrassing. This is mortifying.
Well, and you probably, your last thought is of me as that version of, not version, because I still wasn't.
I don't need him to see me looking like this right now. And then.
I'm going to, Brad.
So when
I'm fine. As T Swift gets here,
That's literally what it was. So then when I actually physically saw you, I pretended like it was the first time. Like, I didn't know that you lived there, even though I knew that you lived there.
You got some skills, kid.
Thank you.
Because
my acting job. Because and I just couldn't also say this to your face yet. I didn't have the courage to say it. So I was like, when he comes sits down, I'll tell him how I actually knew he lived in the same building as me. So
like I'm supposed to wear glasses, but I never do because I literally look
Thank God. You should continue not wearing glasses.
I look like Milhouse, when he takes off his like glasses on The Simpsons. Got those, so I didn't read who it was until you said Brad, and even then I didn't read who it was. So I was like, and then you got inside of 15 feet, and I was like, Nick, whoa, oh God,
oh no,
whoa, what's the weather like? This garage is hot as fuck.
It wasn't awkward though. We were fine. No. Quickly picking up. But,
I'm pretty good with not being like.
I think I am too. Am I awkward?
No, geez, no.
Okay,
that was very normal.
Okay.
And then I literally saw you like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So do you guys live together now?
So we don't live together.
It's very smart.
So it's interesting because that was the new rule that I had for myself. Until I'm married, I'm not living with the person.
Well, I think the marriage, I think it's very important to live together before you're married. I don't mean the whole time, but you got to get a sense of the 24/7 because people.
But what if you do like long weekends or like stretches of time?
They still can be the best versions of themselves. You know, because I always say this is like 90% of me is going to be somebody that you, if you're dating me, you're really going to like. And then the 10% is going to be something that you're going to be like, okay.
Whether you can like accept that and live with that or
Yeah.
not.
And mine happens to be that I can get depressed, but no one would ever know.
Yeah.
No one would ever know because it comes out as like more jokes and more fun.
Right.
And everyone has that little 10%, but it's like so important to see, I wish that I had somebody in my life at the time, like from 24 till now, that would have been like take care of this.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to be going here and avoiding feeling this way. But like I think it's so important that you have that so that you don't get in a marriage and have those, oh, okay, so this is who he is all the time, or this is who she is all the time, vice versa. Like it's just
scary thing. It's a scary thing.
But you have damage from your last one, and what are you going to do? You're going to take that over and then not have that be something that you can do before just because you were fearful of the last one? Mm-hmm. And I get it. Like going through, especially when you have things together, like I've had businesses with girlfriends and it's like, oh, okay, now this is more. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't suggesting. You can do whatever you want with your life.
That's a whole podcast that's another time. Then you could interview me and then we'll unpack my baggage and my
because
trauma.
Genuinely, and I'm not saying this just because we're sitting here like this, like you have a very good heart. Like your pure intention is to be love and find that and have what you were shown. And
that's the scary thing is like I have, I think I've like put that out there and wanted that so bad, but I don't always get that in return. And so that like disappointment and like hurt or heartbreak.
Well, because you're a chaser, right?
Yeah.
So am I. But
I go after the things that I want. Yeah.
But at some point, the boundary that you have to set up when you're chasing is the hardest part.
For sure.
Because usually no matter how much, because there's always a point in every relationship where two people are going directly at each other. And the problem is with people that don't set boundaries, I can only say this because I'm one of them, is that at certain points, the person you have to start chasing, they start going, it might not be quick at first, you might not even know it, but it's very hard to always be going in the same direction.
For sure.
And that's why I think like with the moving apart, like if you have love as the basis of your relationship, then you have to treat the relationship like business. Because if your end product is, I want to have kids, I want to have a house, that's your product.
I do. That's the product I want for sure.
What do you do in business? You don't waste time, energy, money, and you're efficient. Mm-hmm. And if you treat that, people are like, oh, you're being analytical about love. No, if your foundation is already that you have love, well, then you have to make sure that you're an efficient relationship and always keeping each other and yourself accountable. And if you don't do that, then you have what's happened in my life, which is you become comfortable with just the love. Mm-hmm. And that is usually like it's a very good thing to have that as your basis.
Of course, but there needs to be.
It keeps you hyper present versus moving forward.
That's really good advice, Brad.
Been through it all, kid.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Okay, we're gonna do a little rapid fire.
Oh yes, as if I've not sewered myself enough.
Just a quick rapid fire.
I'm having to
see.
Have you seen how I'm look? This is probably the worst shot. It looks like I'm crotch grabbing here, but I'm having to keep my
we'll only use this camera, don't worry.
I'm having to keep my shoulder in so tight because I'm sweating.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sweating too.
You got the Ken flows up.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready? We're gonna play a little red rose or red flag.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah. Yes. No, can you please explain that to me?
I had to ask, okay?
Red rose or red flag?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Love at first sight.
Red flag.
Really?
You can be lust at first sight is a thing. Love at first sight you have to have full context. It can't be.
Talking about an ex on a first date.
Rose, doesn't matter. I like to hear about your whole life.
Okay. Sharing food.
Oh, Rose.
Picking up someone through a DM.
I mean, I have to say Rose because I've done it, but I'm not a slider, so it's a mix in between.
Okay.
It's a red rose flag.
Dating on reality TV.
Red flag. You're a douche for the rest of your life, but it was fun.
Good. Okay, I won't kill you with any more. But one last piece of advice, Brad. If you had to give any one piece of advice on kind of finding love in 2025 in this generation, based on like what you've gone through, what would you tell them?
Honestly, just be authentically you. That voice inside of your head that's always trying to be the best version or the best presented version, that's not ever going to produce what you want. All it's going to do is present the character that you are trying to live up to. Coming from someone who's played a character for so long, I think uniquely what I found was like brutal, raw honesty, even if it hurts feelings. Always make sure, and this is something that I lack sometimes, to put yourself in the other person's shoes when you're making actions. Set foundations of a relationship that are unbreakable, and if they get broken, get out. Don't let yourself get tagged into the longing of wanting somebody versus them feeling the same way about you that you feel about them. Mm-hmm. It should always be reciprocal. And sometimes it's going to be more or less, but if it doesn't come back and you guys are just draining each other's batteries, get the hell out. Mm-hmm. So, but the foundation of walking through life into a relationship as you, whoever that person is, whoever you want to be, however you feel the most comfortable in your skin, be that person, because everything else that's performative is not going to get you what you want. And in 2025, the hardest part is
being
that
yourself.
We are set up to look at the 6 best pictures that you have, of which none of those are who we are in real life.
Right.
You're looking at 6 subblurbs of what they like to do and how but that's presenting themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to be yourself. It really is. It's vulnerable. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that's how you're going to find people who are attracted to you. Because if they aren't...
And the right people. That's how you're going to find the right people.
And if you're your natural self and somebody that you're interested in doesn't like you for being your natural self, then fuck them.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Thank you, Next. Thanks so much, Brad.
Nick.
This was so fun.
Nick, I
appreciate you, buddy.
Do I owe you about $250 for this hour?
Stop it right now.
Billable hours? Nick, I appreciate you and all the success.
You. Thank you so much.
You're gonna do well. You're not only a good person, you're a good kid. Thanks. And you deserve all the good things.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.